Hello and welcome. We're analysts at HDIN Research, and we're taking you deep inside the global brewing market. And let me tell you, it's going through a massive shakeup. This isn't just about who sells the most beer anymore. What we're seeing is a 2025 battleground that's really being defined by debt, digital power, and some pretty radical reinvention. So let's break down the fight for the future of beer.
We've been digging through the 2025 regulatory filings from all the big players, and it's crystal clear the old playbook for winning has been completely thrown out. You know, for decades, the game was simple, just get bigger. But now, it's all about the quality of your profits and how innovative you can be. This shift is creating a huge divide, and honestly, we're seeing some major companies really struggle to keep up.
So to really get a handle on this new landscape, we have to start with the industry's biggest players. And we're going to kick things off with the heavyweights, AB InBev and its absolute powerhouse in Latin America, Ambev. They are such a fascinating case study because they're not just relying on their massive size anymore. Nope, they're building a seriously formidable digital fortress to protect their turf.
Okay, so when you lay out their strategies side by side, something really jumps out. Our analysis of their filings shows this intense focus on one single thing, their B2B platform, Bees. While the global parent ABI is busy rolling it out everywhere, Ambev has already hit over 90% coverage in its key markets. What they're doing is using technology to create this digital moat, locking in their distribution network and making it incredibly tough for anyone else to compete.
Now, you probably saw that term deleveraging for ABI, and it is absolutely crucial to understand. All it means is that they are aggressively paying down their huge pile of debt. And this isn't just some boring accounting cleanup. This is about making their entire financial foundation stronger so they can fund future growth and, survive any big economic storms that might come their way.
And this number is what makes their digital strategy so incredibly powerful. $52.5 billion. That's the gross merchandise value, basically the total price of everything sold, that went through their Bees platform in 2025. This is no side project. It's a massive data-generating ecosystem that gives them a wild competitive advantage.
Okay, so that's the story for the giants. But what about everyone else? Well, for companies like Molson Coors, this new market reality has forced them to pivot. And that pivot is proving to be, pretty painful.
So on the surface, you see a quote like this from their 2025 report, and it sounds great, right? A total beverage company. It signals a bold new direction, moving beyond just beer. They're trying to adapt. But when our audit got behind the curtain and into the financials, we found this pivot comes with a very, very significant cost. And here it is, a negative $3.64 billion charge for what's called goodwill impairment. So what on earth is that? In simple terms, it's the company having to publicly admit that acquisitions they made in the past are now worth billions less than what they paid for them. It is a really painful financial reset, and it just speaks volumes about how tough this transformation really is.
So this huge write-down at Molson Coors, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the market is forcing them to reevaluate what their assets are worth, what does that mean for the biggest player of them all, AB InBev?
And that brings us to this staggering number. AB InBev is currently carrying almost $118 billion in goodwill on its books. Now, while they haven't taken a big impairment charge yet, our analysis flags this as a potential financial time bomb. If things in the U.S. market don't get better for them, the pressure to write down some of that value could become enormous.
So while the giants are busy building fortresses and some of the legacy players are struggling, others are taking a much more radical path. And a perfect example of this is another American brewer, Boston Beer Company. They are attempting a complete and total break from their past.
You can really see here just how different these two paths are. You've got Molson Coors trying to evolve into a total beverage company, but they're doing it while juggling a lot of debt. Then you have Boston Beer, which has basically just hit the Great Reset button, shifting its focus almost entirely to what they call the Beyond Beer category.
Honestly, this one chart from our analysis explains Boston Beer's entire strategy. I mean, wow, a staggering 86% of their sales volume is now from products like Twisted Tea. They've pretty much left the traditional beer business behind. Now, this is a huge gamble, right? They're betting the entire company on their ability to just keep creating the next big hit product.
So how on earth can they pull off such a radical pivot? Well, it all comes down to their balance sheet, which is incredibly healthy. They have zero debt. Their gross margin is back up to over 48%.
This gives them a ton of flexibility to innovate and chase that next big thing, all without the kind of crushing debt that's weighing down their rivals.
Okay, so we've looked at the digital fortress of the giants, the painful pivot of the legacy players, and the radical break from the innovators. So what does it all mean? What's the key takeaway for investors? Here it is, the official HDIN Research verdict. Our analysis really boils down to 4 distinct positions. First, we see Ambev as a top-tier opportunity, a really defensive play with that fortress in Latin America. Next, Molson Coors isn't a void for us. There's just too much debt pressure and uncertainty. Third, AB InBev is a watch. You can't ignore its scale, but that goodwill number is a major red flag. And finally, you've got Boston Beer. That's your wild card, a true high-risk, high-reward bet on innovation.
And all of this leads us to the fundamental question facing this industry in 2025. In a market that no longer rewards size alone, will the giants' digital fortresses be enough to hold off the competition? Or are we about to see agile innovators completely redefine the future of what we all drink? The answer to that is going to determine the winners and losers for the next decade.